With only one final fight remaining in the game, I spent all my scraps on purchasing as many blood vials and ammo boxes as I could afford. This can be highly recommended since the second phase of the fight will undoubtedly force you to burn through quite a few of both aforementioned items. In hindsight, I think the fight would have been a lot easier if I would have upgraded my hunting rifle to plus 15 prior to the fight, and then spent the rest of the scraps on purchasing consumables. To fight the final boss, you should first head down to the bottom floor in Ward 13. Once there, make sure to turn on the power by using the breaker lever. Once the power is on, you should go to the mirror room. Next to the computer in that room you can see a red light blinking, which is where you should slot in the founder's key. Afterwards, you can use the computer to initialize the mirror, which generates a portal to Ward 17, which is the location where the root invasion began. After traversing a few corridors and a large open room where you can see the heart of the corruption, you reach the final checkpoint. If you haven't explored all computer terminals in Ward 13 before, you may not know the origins of the Dreamer, who the Labyrinth Keeper also calls the Devourer. Actually, he is the main character in Chronos Before the Ashes, which is the prequel to Remnant from the Ashes, and he destroyed the Guardians of the Krell, Pawn and the Labyrinth. This meant that the root was able to spread into these spaces and corrupt Earth's core. Make sure to prepare for the fight accordingly. There is no use in saving trait points, so if you have any leftovers, spend them now. Don your favorite armor, weapons and equipment, put your strongest weapon mods in place and slot the items in the appropriate quick slots. Sit down to generate full mod power at the checkpoint and then say hello to the boss. When you enter his room, a small cutscene plays out, and the Dreamer grabs your forearm, before you are both teleported into some interdimensional space. Here he holds a monologue where it becomes obvious he has been corrupted by the root, as he justifies its actions against mankind as being necessary and good, and often uses the word "we" when referencing the root. A few moments later, the fight begins after he has ascended into a levitating position, with 6 tentacle-like extensions coming out from his helmet. The first part of the fight is quite simple. The head is a weak spot, so you should aim to get as many hits in there as possible. Putting damage over time effects also helps. If you manage to stay at a medium distance away from Dreamer, he will slowly levitate towards you without doing too many attacks, so a good tactic is to take a few shots, put some dots on him, run away for a bit and then repeating the process. You could also use summons like the Iron Sentinel mod, which deals consistent damage over time, while you can just focus on maintaining your distance away from the boss. After a short while he will summon a few Ash Devils, which you can usually just ignore as long as you keep moving in a circular pattern and dodge the occasional weapon throw. There are a few different attacks that the Dreamer might utilize during the fight. There is the spin attack, where he hovers just above the ground and then spins around. If you stay at the range, this attack should not hit you, and you can safely get a few extra shots in. But if you are closer to the boss, you should roll away from the attack. There is also the volley attack, where he stops following you briefly and then launches 4 projectiles towards your position. You can avoid these by simply running or rolling away from the impact zone. Thirdly, there is the ground slam attack, where he drops down to the ground and slams his tentacles into it twice, sending out shockwaves each time that travels in a straight line to your position. I would recommend dodging these using a sideways roll. The last attack is a combined spin and slam attack, which he starts using after his health becomes critical. This attack is much harder to dodge, as the spinning move pulls you and nearby enemies in towards the boss. This means you could also get hit by the Ash Devils if you end up next to one. After the spin there is a brief delay before the ground slam attack follows. If you were pulled in all the way to the center, this is your window of opportunity to run a couple of steps and then dodge away from the slam. I usually avoid this attack by staying at range and spamming roll in the opposite direction of the pull. With Dreamer defeated, he transforms into Nightmare. When you get control over your character, a good advice is to get as far back from the boss as possible. Then you can simply dodge the projectiles by walking to either side. Do this a few times until the boss spins around and teleports you into the Nightmare Realm. In the Nightmare Realm, you take constant damage, and what's worse is that the health drain increases over time. This is where blood vials and especially an upgraded triad trait comes in handy. Start with consuming a blood vial right away and then focus on taking down enemies as fast as you can. For extra damage output, a frenzy dust can be recommended. Every enemy taken down in the Nightmare Realm rewards you with 1 damage buff, which is essential to beat the boss. And if you keep bringing down enemies, you will eventually deplete your ammunition, which is where ammo boxes come into play. The Nightmare Realm thus becomes a challenging space where you need to manage your health, ammunition and damage output simultaneously. This is the main challenge of the entire fight. The first few enemies that spawn are Ash Devils, but soon after stronger enemies appear such as Hulks and Slayers. It is easy to get overwhelmed if you miss a few shots, so my recommendation is to stay close to the exit portal, so you can leave if it gets too crowded. If you play on Apocalypse difficulty and didn't get the Swarm mod during your playthrough, you would want to have at least 12 to 14 stacks of damage buffs before leaving the Nightmare Realm. If you don't get more than at least 10 stacks, you might not have enough damage to break the shield that protects the Dreamer. To maximize your damage output, you should always try to refill your ammo, reload your weapons and have your weapon mod available when you step through the portal back into the boss room. Afterwards, make sure to dodge the boss's projectiles and shoot it in the center where the Dreamer is. Once you have dealt enough damage, the shield breaks and the Dreamer is exposed. Again, aim for the head and you will deal massive weak spot damage. After a short while, the shield recharges and the first phase of the fight repeats. Again, go to the back wall and face the boss. Watch out for the projectiles and wait to get teleported once more into the Nightmare Realm. The rest of the fight follows the same strategy. As you can see, the final attempt was far from optimal in terms of damage output, but I was just happy to beat the boss, considering I was totally out of consumables, with 0 frenzy dusts, only 1 blood vial and 4 ammo boxes remaining. If I hadn't beaten the boss then and there, I would have had to suffer through a few adventure mode runs just to gather enough scraps to purchase more consumables and perhaps also upgrade my weapons. So it was great that it didn't have to come to that. Once you defeat Nightmare, you obtain the Mind's Eye trait, which increases ranged damage by 0.75% per rank up to a maximum of 15%. You also obtain one Orb of Undoing, which is a consumable item that resets all of your spent trait points. This is quite a remarkable item, as it allows you to reallocate your points into traits that you obtained later on in the game. Finally, you also obtain Dreamer's Mana, which is a crafting material used to craft Repulsor. Repulsor is a long gun that comes with the pre-attached Banish weapon mod, which fires a projectile that banishes enemies into another dimension for 4 seconds and increases the damage they take upon their return. The mod does not banish bosses, but instead generates a 4 seconds debuff during which they take increased damage. In the end, I completed the game with the Hunter class's starting gear: the hunting rifle, repeater pistol, and full hunter armor set. All pieces were upgraded to level 10, and my trait rank was 151 before the boss fight and 155 afterwards. When I made the first video, I had no idea how much time and effort would be needed to complete the series, but I was determined to do so. Just the video transcripts alone ended up being 52 pages and over 42,300 words. Thank you so much for watching this video, and especially so if you've watched the entire series from the start. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, I hope you will enjoy the rest of your day.